in a car and fucked, that wasn't because I was a bad writer. That was called toxic masculinity. The colleague who repeatedly harassed and accosted me in the halls after I declined coffee? I was not unprofessional for saying no. That was workplace harassment. All this time, I had thought I was being a good feminist, pushing myself, not letting men take advantage of me or drag me down. But it was now clear I was staggering under a huge load of guilt, shame, and dread. All of these experiences, I had thought they were something I could have prevented or had brought on, that they were my fault. But now, I had words for all of them. And it wasn't. When Hillary lost, buried in an avalanche of flawed or shrill and ambitious, I started to think back on those small words again. How I was loud or argumentative or bossy or demanding. How I was tiny or stocky or confused or sort of stupid. How I was too nice, a huge bitch, kind of nasty. How I was intense. I was psycho. I was irrational. I was lazy. I was dramatic. I was so smart. I had always felt words like loud or crazy were mere pinpricks, irritants you brushed off on your way to someplace bigger. But these small words, I was starting to realize, had had real consequences, in my life and in others. A single mom at 40, I found myself particularly outraged by the financial cost. I had lost a 2/3 401k match when I was fired from the pervy boss. Quote-unquote lazy. It had cost me $1,200 to move after the Con Ed masturbator. Quote-unquote slut. I had lost access to cheap health care from Mr. Unprofessional. $1 million. This was just the short list. Those dollars were a down payment on a house, a gymnastics class for my son, taxes. Those people who had mansplained, shut me down, shut me up, had not only called me names, they had hit me in the wallet, which took away my power. And I was one of the lucky ones. I began to realize these words weren't pinpricks. They weren't the punishment. They were the justification for the punishment. The jobs we lost, the promotions, the houses, the money, our respect, our bodies, our voices. Because yes, it wasn't 1952. You could no longer outright say you weren't giving someone the position because she was a woman. But what if she was shrill, ambitious, difficult? As women, our problem wasn't that we needed to be more forceful, more self-assured, to make our way in the herd of confident, self-assured men currently ruling the world. It was that when we spoke up, they told us to sit down and shut the fuck up. Our voices were hurting their ears. The day I sold this book, a man called me a yappy bitch. He was not a stranger. He was a fellow dad, a member of the PTA, a man I'd done after-school programs with, whom I always waved to on the street. I was at the park with this fellow dad and my friend, and he wanted to talk to us about race. It was actually a tedious argument, the one black people have to have about race with white people all the time. Guess what? He didn't see it. But my friend and I both had biracial kids. I was biracial myself. He was a fellow dad. He did a lot for the school. We could have the talk. As we watched our children run up and down the slide, my friend's son and mine, kinky-haired and many-hued, and his daughter, like him, a redhead with milk-white skin, I braced myself. "It's talking about race that causes racism," he began. I was polite during the "I don't check race on the sheets" part, and even the "it's racist for you to call me a white man" section. But when he said that the only difference between him and black people was that he burned more easily in the sun, I spoke up. Actually, black people have to be a lot more careful about the sun, because it's not as visible when the burn is happening, I said. My friend nodded. His face clouded.